All right. I said I was going to do a live video. And so here we are. But I had to get the questions and put them on my phone. And then I have to transfer them. So give me a second. Okay. While this is loading up, happy Saturday. God damn it, it is hot as shit in here. Someone just asked if I'm writing a book anytime soon. Yes. I'm working on a little something for y'all. So it'll be coming soon. Why are you taking so long? Yeah, see all those wine bottles? That's because I don't drink. So when I have parties, everybody brings bottles and they just sit here like that for the next party. That's basically what happens. Or if they're unopened, they get gifted to people. Okay, so people ask a lot of questions. So thank you all, for being willing to put yourself out there. And my phone is acting ridiculous, like my other. Are you just not going to open? Is that what's happening right now? Okay, it's just taking a little second. But thank you for your patience. I don't know who this person is about telling me to brush my teeth as if I didn't brush my teeth. Sometimes I think y'all think this isn't an actual human being sitting here. Don't fucking talk to me crazy. I'm a human being sitting right here. All right. Okay. So, let's answer some questions. Let's answer some questions. I mean, I'm doing this for the first time, so I haven't really worked out a system. All right, so first question. I'm a trans male, and I'm curious what your view is on the transgender military ban from Trump. Also, still loving all of your posts. Thank you. As far as the transgender military ban, come on, this is ridiculous. At the end of the day, I just feel like anybody who wants to put their life on the line to fight for this country, that be doing all the fuck shit, let them fight. Let them fight. Flat-footed, trans. The only people I feel like maybe that wouldn't be a good idea is someone with mental illness, because when you're in those situations, you definitely have to have a certain level of clear-headedness. But I think you also, you got to be wired a certain way to also be able to put yourself in the line of fire. So it's on ya. I see it. And so I just feel like that's that. This is really just the work of this is really just the work of these fascist fucks And we keep seeing just these microaggressions. This is actually a macroaggression, in my opinion, of encroachments upon rights and upon what defines like a true American. So when you see stuff like this, you have to think about like what the bigger picture is. And these are the people who feel like, you know, if you're not fighting for this country, you're lesser than the folks that fight for this country. Those are the true patriots. So they're basically like saying that trans people are not even given the opportunity to be true patriots. And, you know, that's some bullshit. And that's my thoughts on that. Someone just said she used profanity. Yes. Fuck, fuckity, fuck, 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 pussy. All right. Next question. What's one movie you wish they made a video game out of? Ooh. I mean, I'm not really like a video game gal. I mean, I guess Girl Trip would be Girl Trip would probably be a really fun video game to play, you know, or Set It Off, the video game. Ooh, Set It Off, the video game would be great. And like you'd have to like be Queen Latifah's character and drive through, and like you got to try and drive through the police and make it through. I just feel like that would be a fun video game. Someone just said Get Out, the video game. Yeah, that would be actually, I mean, because like you'd have to, the game would have to be like, how do you stay conscious as long as possible while the teacup is being stirred, you know? So someone else said Baps video game. Hilarious. Baps video game. All right, ready for the next question? Here it is. I have a question. I don't want to let go of this friend, but I may have to. Last year, I found out my mom has dementia. My mom cared for my grandma, who has it as well. I'm an only child now, so now I care for them both. Shout out to only children. My friend has always been a notoriously late person. It pissed me off before I had this responsibility, but now that I rarely have time for myself, it pisses me off even more. So much so that I've decided to not attend functions that involve me picking her up or doing anything. That would make me wait for her. I've had to talk with her about it, about how I can't handle her consistently making me wait. She brushed it off saying that's just me. I don't want to lose the friendship, but if she can't learn to respect my time, I'll have to step away. What is your advice? So I've definitely been in this situation. I've actually had a situation like this happen yesterday. I think there's two different ways to look at it. I think if she was conscious of her shortcoming and actively worked on it, you know, and sometimes you hit the mark and sometimes you miss the mark when you have these flaws about yourself and these things that you're working on. I think if she was actively trying to do that, then she would actually, there would be a different exchange because you're having an equitable exchange of emotion and of accountability. But when she just brushes it off, what it says is that she doesn't really care about your time. She doesn't really care about what you think. And I just feel like if you're in a friend exchange and they don't care about what you think about them, you're not really in an equitable friend exchange. Like, you know, like that's just not somebody that cares about you the same way that you may care about them. And it may not be like you got to cut somebody off and not fuck with them, but it means that yes, you do need to set boundaries. You do need to create some distance, and you do need to, at the very end of the day, protect yourself. And if something is pissing you off and you have all that you got going on, caring for your parents and caring for your grandmother and your mother, you can't have somebody that don't care for you around. So that's my thoughts on that. So some other people said, she needs to know you're serious and that your friendship is on the line. Yep. Let's see. Waiting for somebody else. Someone said, separate. Another person said, she should be willing to get better at her timing as a friend. Agreed. So that's our thoughts on that. You know, I just feel like it doesn't require like a big pronunciation. It doesn't require a big like explanation. Sometimes it just requires silencio. Sometimes, there you go. Someone just said, let her know by her absence. Sometimes that's the way it moves. But consideration is just the key. Next question. What's your scalp care regimen? Because your hair is always flawless. Thank you, Larice. So I've actually been like trying a bunch of different stuff after the Shea Moisture debacle, where they decided to do their first commercial and had like 3 white women doing it. But I've been going through a lot of different things, and what I've settled on right here is a combination. And I actually, I don't know why I didn't come up with that idea myself, but Natasha Rothwell, who plays Kelly on Insecure, she was like, girl, you need to put a combination together. So this is a combination of Miel leave-in conditioner and Cream of Nature styling foam. And so it really like, I feel like what it does is the foam gives the curl, but the Miel like allows it to still have the luster. So a lot of times my hair like would dry out if I just use one or the other. And this is the second day. This is 2 days. This is after lying on my head all night and sleeping on not a silk pillowcase, which I really should get a silk pillowcase. So yeah, that's the combination. I just wash and go. I wash my hair with Hair Rules products, and then I put in the Miel and I comb it through, and then I put in the foaming stuff and I comb that through, and then I just kind of give the scalp a little bit of a bump, and then I keep on moving. Okay, so let's see what y'all saying. Some of you all are just such idiots, and a lot of you all are not. Word. All right, back to the questions. Okay. Wow, someone asked a lot. Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase. They said, sorry, I'm rambling. So my question is, can you explain and just talk about the importance of listening? How crucial it is that if you don't understand the struggle of a Black, Asian, Hispanic, etc. person is going through, the only thing to do is listen. I would love to listen to that. So, I think that we live in a time where basically like everyone has the access to speaking their mind, right? And that wasn't always the case. Like a lot of times, for a long time before the internet, if you wanted to speak your mind in a public forum, if you wanted to have an opinion on something, you really had to be accredited to do that, and people didn't feel like they could just talk out their ass about shit. And if they did, they were speaking to like a group of their own, peers. They weren't necessarily doing this in a large forum. Then we have the internet, which basically gives you a platform, a global platform to say whatever you want to say. And what it's done, in my opinion, is even further allowed this concept of people just doing way more talking than listening, because everyone wants to hear themselves talk, and people want to be able to say what they're thinking and speak their experience. And that's a beautiful thing on one hand, like giving people a platform and giving people the opportunity to be able to speak their mind and their truths is a beautiful thing. But there's also the balance, right? Everything requires balance. And hey, Philip, I'm answering your question. So everything requires balance, and balance requires being able to speak and listen. Now, I know for me, I get paid to talk, so I have to absolutely like force myself to listen. Sometimes I cut people off. I don't really mean to do that, but sometimes I also know where you're going anyway. So I feel like let's just get there. But at the end of the day, what listening does is it allows you to do a couple of things. One, it allows you a chance to have stillness, right? And in stillness, you get calm and you get an opportunity to really like say you get an opportunity to actually hear what people are saying and let that filter through without it coming up against the interference of your own thoughts. And when we allow things to filter through, we get a chance to have different perspectives. We get a chance to process things more. And as you see, when you like process anything, it cuts it down to the finest point possible. And when you can process a thought more and get more opportunity to listen, and when you let yourself listen and get your opportunity to process things more, I personally feel like you get a chance to have better responses. You get a chance to have better understanding. The other part about listening is respect. You're giving someone the floor. You're giving someone a chance to speak their truth. And when you give respect, you gain respect in many cases. Sometimes that's not the case and you keep it moving. But letting someone from another cultural background speak their truth is also just plainly giving them the respect of acknowledging the credibility of their voice and their experience. Specifically to white people, this idea of feeling like you need to what's the word I'm looking for? Interrupt when a black person is telling their story about their experience is frustrating because it's like you have no understanding of what that experience is. You haven't had to. That's the reality of being white in America. You make a choice to learn about black culture. You make a choice. Black people have to learn about white culture in America if we want to succeed at a certain level. It's just what it is. And so when we are speaking our truths and our experiences, we want white people to listen because we need you to actually make the choice to educate yourself about other perspectives in order to be able to create change that makes a better world and a better community for all perspectives, not just white perspectives. So that's my thoughts on listening. Someone said, quick picking on white people. I don't even understand what that means. Quit picking on white people. Get your tears out of here. Okay. Why are all these folks in this comment section hating? Otherwise, you realize you don't have to watch this. Yeah, people are insane though. So that's what that is. How do you balance being yourself and being famous? I mean, I guess I'm famous. I don't know. Fame is like a weird thing because it happens like outside of you. It's not really like you, for a lot of, okay, wait, let me take that back. Because some people really be like about this fame shit. And I'm like, nah, it's a byproduct of doing the work that I do. And so it's just very like, surreal, I should say. Surreal. To have people like know about you that you don't know. So it's never, no, fame is not an illusion. Fame is actually a very real thing because we live in a world where you are in people's lives that are not in your lives. And that's what fame is. Fame is the awareness of you outside of your immediate circle. So I say all that to say that how do I balance fame and being myself? I just be myself. I don't really have a lot of time for fuck shit. So that helps. Hi, Qatar. Ooh, I would love to come to Qatar. Okay. More questions. Y'all still with me? Y'all have a lot of stuff to say. It's really nice. Okay, so here's the thing. There's so many questions, and I want to get to the ones that people sent me on my DM because that's where I asked them to. And so I'm going to go with those first, okay? So this is I had really like put these together and then I played myself. Okay. All right, y'all. Someone said, I've lived in a beautiful house in the Bay Area for 4 years now. Recently got all new roommates. After 1 month, they've shown their true colors and are fucking awful. Don't take out the trash, smoke in the living room, watch TV on loud at midnight on a Sunday when I have to wake up for work, etc., etc. And they pay rent 8 days late. What? Where they do that at? Oh, hell no. I love my house, but fuck these niggas. I'm technically the only one on the lease. Should I give them 60 days notice to find somewhere else to leave? Should I leave? Again, I'm in the Bay Area, so shit is expensive and housing is precarious. Ooh, great use of precarious on a Saturday morning, honey. I think there might be a secret third option where I sit these niggas down and tell them I'm not playing around and list what needs to change, then live through it while I get a side hustle going so I can save up enough to move to a 1-bedroom at the technical end of the lease. I can live through pretty much anything, but I'm old as shit, and yeah, I get it. So here's the thing, Beatrice. Live your best life. I mean, this sounds like it is madness. And you should never have to live in madness, especially if you're the one on the lease. I mean, I don't think it has to become like a whole big violent situation, but I agree with you that yes, there's a world in which you have a conversation, but I think that what you do is you make it like, listen, here's the deal. Y'all have 10 days to prove this. And if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And when you are the one on the lease and people are being disrespectful in this fashion, you can't have that in your home. We have enough fuckery to deal with outside in the world, let alone having that in your home. Like, ooh, that's just yucky. No, you can't have that. You can't have that. Your home is where your heart is. Your home is your sanctuary. It's your serenity. And when people are living like that and they're behaving like that, you can't have that. So I personally feel like, I mean, that's what I would do. Now, it depends on the type of person you are. Because some people are more passive and they don't want to have to confront the situation. And in that case, if that's you, I would say, yeah, start plotting your exit and leave them right there. Because they ain't going to be able to handle the lease either. That's the other thing. Because if they're paying rent 8 days late and whatnot, they ain't going to be able to keep the lease either. So it depends on what you consider to be like the best, the path of least destruction. And that, listen, that just depends on who these people really are. You know, I don't know if they're extra in terms of how they live, but also like in how they behave, you know, but, they just sound to me like really immature, inconsiderate people. And immature and inconsiderate people ain't gonna get right just because you ask them to. I'm just saying. All right, next one. Do you have any advice for people who get in their own way of progress and prosperity? For those that are their own saboteur? Lastly, do you believe in spiritual warfare? I do not know what spiritual warfare is. As for getting in your own way, I feel like I used to get in my own way because I used to simply just not take on the seemingly insurmountable fight that happens when you realize your own flaws and that you're going to have to actually step forward yourself to change those things. It can feel really like, how am I supposed to change this? And when you are getting in your own way, it's because you are either not acknowledging the things that you have impeding you, that you're creating, or you are acknowledging those things, but you're simply doing nothing about it. So my advice is you have to decide what you really want, and you have to decide if how much that really is worth it to you. And you have to make that a goal and a plan, and you have to put in place the things that you would do to get that. And you have to include the things that are about you that you need to change in that. And you have to treat it like a task. You know, I think a lot of times we get very emotional with those things and we feel like, okay, you know, I know that I'm not really that great at so something I knew that I had to work on was responding emotionally to things as opposed to, you know, taking a step back. And like you're like, no, but that's just me though. And you know, that's you literally emotionally responding to you having an emotional response. The logical and rational thing though would be to say, like, even if that is you, that's not what's best for you. So you want to operate in always what's best for you. And when you're operating in what's best for you, you get the best back. And so it's about perspective and you realizing like, okay, I'm doing things that are not creating the best situation for me. How can I simply just focus my energies in a tactful way to dealing with that? And that takes the emotion out of it. It just becomes a very basic 2 + 2 situation. So my concise response to this is, the way you need to work, let me not say it like that. The way I suggest that you work on getting out of your own way is identifying the things that you do that get in your own way and considering them as tasks to fix as opposed to as you to fix. I hope that helped. I was having a little struggle with that one and wording it that quickly. Next question. As a Black woman in entertainment, do you find it that our expression of sexuality is stigmatized? Do you feel pressured to dress/act conservatively? In certain rooms. I mean, I think it's actually like on both sides. It's like, I think on one side in mainstream media, we're considered like these Jezebels still, and then within black media, to counter that, a lot of times it's like you're expected to button it up. And you know, the thing is, black women have never really had like the platform to just like be ourselves, because we always are representing such a bigger conversation. As Du Bois said, everything black people do is political. You know, so you kind of always feel like, yes, I'm going to be on time, Lenny. So you always feel like you have to, damn it, Lenny has threw me off. Wait, what was I saying? You always feel like you have to like present yourself as part of a larger whole versus as just you being an individual person. And that individual person may be somebody that want to wear their titties out. You know what I'm saying? Or that individual person may be somebody that wants to wear their J. Crew sheet dress. At the end of the day, though, the pressure comes from that. The pressure comes from feeling politicized at all times. And the work that creatives like myself are trying to do when we put interesting and unique expressions of black women out there is trying to challenge that and force the hand that says that no, we are not a monolith. We do not have to be what you think we are. But do I think that we'll ever not be politicized? No. You know why? Because slavery. So that's my answer to that. All right. Next question. How did you get your role on Insecure? How is working with Issa Rae? And do you have any advice for women of color trying to break into acting? I got an Insecure because I auditioned. I was very fortunate to get offered an audition. I originally went in for the role of Tasha the banker. And when I got there, I was like, I don't have the proportions for this role. And so I asked the casting director, I said, is there, like, how am I supposed to do this? And she was like, oh, man, you can play anything. I'm like, no, but as a producer myself, I can recognize roles that are best for me or not. And she was like, well, what about this other role? And she said, stop asking. No, I'm not an AKA. I'm not. I play one on television. Someone keeps asking me this over and over again. I play one on television. Trust me, if I was an AKA, that shit would be all over the place. Just like Grenada is all over the place. Okay, I'm back. So she was like, no, Amanda, you can play. She was like, maybe take a look at the other roles. And I was like, what's the other role? And she was like, early 30s Ivy League graduate. I'm like, you mean my actual life? So I read for Tiffany, and there was a series of auditions. Girl, it was like 4 auditions. The last one was a chemistry test. It was a whole thing. I mean, it was intense, okay? Intense. And I remember I was going to Grenada, and they were like, you're going to know before you go to Grenada. And then I went to Grenada, and I didn't know, and I was just like in shambles. And then I came back, and they were like, oh, yeah, we haven't casted it yet. I was like, oh, you're just messing up my grandaunt's relaxation, and you didn't even cast a damn thing. So, but we're back. And I thank you all so much for watching. How's it working with Issa? It's great. It's fantastic to be able to, just work with people who are creating their truths and speaking their truths, and that are very ardent about making the best quality work possible. Issa just works really, really hard, and it's inspiring to see when I see on her Instagram that it's Wednesday and she's editing. When it's a weekend and she's editing in a headscarf, you're like, yes, they are about it. Any advice for women of color trying to break into acting? Just know that things are opening up, and I think that's great, but just know that it's very real out here. When I say out here, I just mean in show business. The work that still needs to be done to get authentic black women on television and in these writers' rooms, and I found that the best most effectiveness that I've had is when I go into these castings and I converse with these casting directors about these roles. And I ask them, what are they trying to achieve here? Because a lot of times Black women roles are theory. They're theory based. A lot of times they're created because there needs to be a Black woman in this show, or there needs to be a person of color in the show. But the individuals that are creating that role haven't necessarily lived that truth or spoken to women who have lived that truth. And so there's just a lot of guessing that's happening. And you are the one who's going to be bringing authenticity to that space. And we have to converse with the casting director to find out, like, what are they guessing? Like, what are they trying to come up with? You know what I mean? I've been in a situation where I literally went into a casting and they were like, so just like say the lines like how you would want to say it. Like, don't even worry about it. And that's like a catch-22, because on one hand you're like, okay. But on the other hand, you're like, damn, I got to fucking write your script for you? Come on. So that's that. But I will say that my work anytime I go into a room is like, how am I going to present this as an authentically sound character and not as a stereotype of what they think that is. And I'm still all about the fact that, like, there needs to be all different shades of Black women, all different types of Black women, all different just expressions of Black women. And when you are coming into this, just know that not everybody thinks that way. And so you're going to have to speak up, and you're going to have to challenge, and you're going to have to push the envelope. And I encourage you to work with creatives that may not necessarily have all the money and may not necessarily have the biggest platform, but have the vision to create space for Black characters to be authentic. I know some people feel like, like they want to get on, they want to be popping, and I completely understand that. But the exercise that happens when you work with creators who are ardent about their work is that you are, like, basically showing the universe, I'm here for this. I'm about this. And that comes back to you tenfold. Okay. So we got another half an hour. All right, next question. I love season 1 and 2 of Get Your Life. I think it's a breath of fresh air and nice, nostalgic, modern satire. Thank you. When you were writing and creating it, what did you have in mind? What did you want to convey for your viewers? So Get Your Life is my web series. We did 2 seasons of it. You can check it out right now at blavity.com. And actually, I'm just going to put this right here. Watch my web series, Get Your Life, now at www.blavity.com/series. How do you pin again? I forgot how you pin something. Oh, there you go. Did it. Okay. I'm back in the game. Okay, so what was the question again? When you were writing, creating it, what did you have in mind? So when I first started creating Get Your Life, it was really under the understanding that I needed a platform, and I needed a space where I could be, where I could showcase, like, my scripted writing skills. I hadn't gotten the opportunity to do that. We had a show called Things I Learned This Week that I used to do on YouTube, where I used to do, like, sketch stuff, and that was fun, and I used to talk about, like, social commentary and whatnot. But it's also, I have this other, like, mode of expression where I want to write scripted comedy, and I want to be a part of bringing more spaces for Black women to be funny, and be funny in different ways to the canon. So I had this meeting at this agency out here, and the agent said, the days of digital media not being valuable are done. If you want to create something that's authentically your voice, you can do it in a digital space, and it can be real. And at the time, I didn't even have, like, footage for my real REEL, because I hadn't been doing scripted stuff since, like, My Brother and Me on Nickelodeon. And so she was like, listen, this is a way for you to create work that speaks for you and what you do. And I I set forth on doing that. I gave Issa a call and I was like, hey, I have an idea for this web series. If I did it, can we put it on the platform on YouTube? And she said yes. So I got to work. Originally, I was going to do it in New York, but then I was moving to LA and I thought it was just a better story to put this on display of like the struggle of moving to New York from California and of really just pursuing your dream and really just trying to figure out like how to get to where you want to go but still be who you are. And it was really a great, difficult ass experience. But one thing I will say also is when we were writing second season, I had evolved so much in that year that it was really difficult to write the second season because I was second guessing myself the whole time on like, is it good or am I just, it feels so different, but I don't know if that means it's better. And, as your taste evolves as an artist, it can be very disconcerting and like uncomfortable because you've gotten so used to a certain style of how you do something that when you are evolving into this new skin, you can feel like, oh wait, I don't know if I can recognize what's good anymore. And it turned out I was still dope. Hey, but I had written the whole second season with my team, and then I saw Atlanta, and I literally had to sit in the dark and think about my life. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, this shit is out here on another level. You need to go back in and elevate because you ain't hitting it where it needs to hit. And so that's what I did. And I feel like we did a really great job. So check out season 2 of Get Your Life right now on Blavity. All right, so I'm going to answer a couple more questions. There's a lot of questions. Someone asked about relationships, and we haven't talked about relationships today, so I'll answer that. You speak on relationships and dating often, and I know you tend to speak on how guys don't step up, aren't true to their word, but do you feel at all that women are to blame at all on their part as far as expecting too much out of guys too soon, not playing their role when a guy was honest with them from jump, and thinking that once they start dating a guy that it automatically means they claim the guy and the guy should claim them? Because I feel both women and men are just as much to blame for the deterioration of modern day relationships and dating, from inconsideration to social media to blatant disrespect. Both genders are to blame. Yeah, both genders are to blame in certain ways, but I don't date women, so I don't speak from the point of view of that, and I also don't do those things. So I'll unpack this real quick. When I speak about guys not stepping up and not being true to their word, here's the thing. In this comment, you say, do I feel that those actions are affected by women expecting too much out of guys too soon, not playing their role when a guy is honest from jump, and thinking that once they start dating a guy, it automatically means that they can claim the guy and the guy should claim them? Those actions don't interconnect with each other. One thing is not causing the other to happen. At the end of the day, being considerate and stepping up when you mean it exists in its own bubble. That's its own scenario. That's its own action-based motion. And when I say that if a guy wants to step up, that's just what it is. And if you feel like you don't want to step up because you feel like women are not being real or are not responding to you or are being over responsive to you, you can't overgeneralize that. Like, some people definitely take things too far. Some people definitely are not as upfront. But I guess what I'm basically saying is, like, other people's whackness shouldn't make you whack. That's the thing. Like, when other people are doing things that you feel like are not necessarily the best thing, like, that doesn't necessarily inform why you should be doing fuck shit. And, like, you not keeping your word as a man has nothing to do with whether or not a woman is behaving, properly or not. Like, those are two absolutely disparate things in the world. If we as human beings, regardless of gender, were just more responsible and accountable about what we do as people, then we would absolutely interact with people better. I really, truly, truly believe that. I had to apologize to somebody this morning because I got a little out of hand. But, you have to, at the end of the day, be accountable for yourself. And when it boils down to it, there are absolutely women who do those things, and there are absolutely men who do those things. But when we as individuals say, but I'm not going to do those things, that's the best you can do. The best you can do. As a dude, your word should be paramount. As a person, your word should be paramount. So when you step in a situation, you keep it 100. If that person, does not honor that, then you stop fucking with that person. But that has nothing to do with whether or not you should keep it 100. And if you feel like lying or being fuzzy with the truth is helpful, it shouldn't be. It's not. It's not. Someone just said I should don't let other people's whackness make you whack. I'll work on that. That's what that is. It just shouldn't. It just shouldn't. The whole two wrongs don't make a right. That's what that concept is. And that's a very difficult thing to do sometimes. It really, really is. But it's healthy and it's effective. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story. So I went and hung out with somebody as a friend. We were just hanging out as a friend one time. And then we hung out and we had such a great time that the next time I saw them, I was like, listen, I actually want to date you for real. And I am really not interested in seeing somebody that's seeing a number of other people. So, if you are seeing other people, I completely understand. It's just not for me. I'm not interested in seeing somebody that's fucking a bunch of other people. So if you're doing that, I understand. But that's where I'm at. So let me know if I need to fall back or not. And he was like, no, there's absolutely no reason you should fall back. And then we started seeing each other. And then 2 months in, he's like, yeah, I just, I wasn't really trying to really date like that. And it's incensing because you're like, I could not have been more upfront in any other situation. And it drives you a little crazy, right? Because you're just like, what the fuck? I handled this exactly how I should have handled this. And still, this motherfucker is coming to me acting like brand new. I'm just really conflicted because I'm just not at a place in my career where I can really handle this. And, I love you, but I'm just not ready to love you. And you're in the sunken place. You find yourself just what is going on? And then you have to somehow come back to the clarity that oh, that's a crazy motherfucker. Because I have the receipts that I approached this properly. And it is not me. It is them. And I'm just glad that they're showing it now so I can keep on moving. It's real. And I just think that the hardest part about that is how you go into the next situation, right? Because how do you not carry the frustration into the next situation and the bitterness? But I still got to be me. And, when you have people that are not transparent, a lot of times they just don't know who they are. They're not rooted. You're only seeing the branches. When you meet me, you see the root. And so the hardest thing to do is to not carry that forward. But you gotta really, really work hard and not carry it forward, because you don't want to let other people's whackness make you whack. And bitterness is whack. And distrust is whack. And there's a quote from Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist. And he said, trust everyone, but never sell your sword. You hear me? Never sell your sword! Because sometimes you got to cut motherfuckers off. And sometimes you actually got to cut a motherfucker. Hatari Hanzo. Okay. So, what time is it? All right, we got time for maybe like 2 more questions. Did I answer that question? Do y'all feel like that was answered? I feel like that was answered. Ooh. Hey. Okay, this is an interesting one. Hey, I just graduated college and I'm trying to be a filmmaker as an independent. So my question is, as an independent artist, how do you stay so disciplined with your schedule and get things done? A lot of times it's hard for me to concentrate on my own stuff because I'm broke and opportunities come up and I try to go chase that money so I can eat instead of sitting down and getting better at my craft. Also, it's hard doing it alone. I just moved to NY and I don't have many friends. It's lonely. Girl, I hear you, boo. I hear you, boo. So let's talk about this, because this touched me right here, because this is I know this story. Okay. The first question was, how do you stay disciplined with your schedule and getting things done? So someone said, put dragon glass on my sword. Yes, Game of Thrones. Yes. Okay, I'm back. I stay disciplined. So there's like the figurative and the literal, right? So on a literal, okay, we're gonna put Josh from Baltimore. He's got to go because he's just a fucking idiot. Josh from Baltimore, you gotta go. You're an idiot. Go. Hide video from Josh in Baltimore. Okay. So when I was in New York and I was in the depths of the grind, and the grind grinds you up, it's like you have to definitely force yourself to stick with your work, and it can be actually really frustrating. And some of the things that I would do to help myself stay on task is I literally like set up where I would work. In front of me, I put a calendar. I just put it right in front of me. And so I would always have like this visual connection with like time and what I needed to do and what I planned to do. And I would put my goals on there. I would give myself like, okay, I'm going to do this I would set deadlines for myself. And I would also like incorporate going to see other people's work as part of my work because it inspires you. Like you have to get out and see other people's shit. It inspires you for a number of reasons. For some people, it inspires you because art inspires art. Some people, it inspires you because you're competitive. And when you see other people doing shit, you're like, I better go home and do my shit, And also, like, I never felt comfortable, like, hanging out because I'm like, who the fuck am I to be hanging out right now? I got work to do. And you be, like, hanging out, celebrating somebody else's shit. And you be like, I can't be out here celebrating your shit. I gotta do my shit. Some people do vision boards, some people write down their goals every day. But my thing is, you have to, at the end of the day, like everyone has their different ways of doing things. And you got to come up though with like, what is your way of staying inspired? You have to sit down, like really think about that. So those are a couple of my ways of staying inspired. Going to see other people's stuff, setting my own goals and my own plans and putting them in front of me to face them every day. And also just like talking to people that believe in what I'm doing. And sometimes you don't have that option yet. So maybe it's just one person, but there's that. So that's one part of that question. So this is the real shit. She says, a lot of times it's hard for me to concentrate on my own stuff because I'm broke and opportunities come up and I try to go chase that money so I can eat instead of sitting down and getting better at my craft. First off, you're being too hard on yourself. Going off and chasing that money is part of you getting better at your craft, because what a lot of us artists forget is that in order for us to continue to do this art, there has to be a lot of times commerce. And a lot of us as artists are not developing our ability to be business people as much as we are developing our art. And it works in tandem. And in the best of situations, you are able to find business acumen that informs your art and that allows you to create even more art. And you don't got to be a genius to do it. Listen, I'm not the best like business savvy person. I just learned how to like really do what I do in my art and not be dumb about how I get it out to people. And I listened. I listened to other people and talked to people who are businesses, their shit, and worked on trying to apply that. And then you find other people that maybe they're not about the craft, maybe they're more about business, and you can collaborate with them. But going off and getting money so that you can have peace of mind, so that you can create, girl, that's real. And it's when they say money doesn't buy happiness, they're right. But what it can buy is peace of mind. Okay? And some people love the struggle. Some people, the struggle is what informs them. The struggle is what gets them going. I don't like the struggle. The struggle does not make me want to create art. Okay? The struggle frustrates me. It depresses me. It saddens me. Some people work from that place. I don't work from that place. So if you're somebody that doesn't work from that place, you got to go out and hustle. Now, the advice I'll give you, though, is that even when those other things happen, you do still have to figure out how to continue with your craft, because what's yours is yours, and it can't be displaced. It can't be displaced by other things. You can't let that happen. You may not be able to work on your stuff at the same quantity, but you still need to be watering that plant. You can't let that plant die, because that's your real money tree. You are your money tree. Everybody else out here is a part of this whole energy world circling that makes things happen, but you make you happen. And if you're not nurturing your art and your skills, then you're giving your gift away. So sometimes you may have a whole bucket of water to be able to give to that. Sometimes it might just be a drip drop, but you can't let that die. You are your money tree. Always water it with whatever bit of water you have to give it. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do one more. Can you give advice to a black girl going to a private white institution this fall? So I went to SUNY Purchase for undergrad, but then I went to Columbia University for graduate school. And someone said, please save this video. If I'm like dropping gems in this video, can someone like send any of the gems that I dropped? Because I just be blanking out sometimes and I don't remember what I said. So far, I feel like I've said, you are your money tree. Don't let whackness make you whack. And there was another one. Don't let whackness make you whack. You are your money tree. And there was one that I thought was good too about you gotta fix your when it comes to fixing yourself. I said something about looking at your tasks. Oh, you gotta take the emotion out of working on you, and look at the things that you need to work on as tasks to improve your life, not to fix you. Yeah, okay. It was something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'll save the video. Think of it as fixing tasks. Something like treat your flaws like a task, right? Like it's fixing yeah. Oh, I can, at the end of this live stream, I can save it and post it on YouTube. I'm going to do that, Philip. I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. Hi, Amanda. Can you give advice to a black girl going to a private white institution this fall? So a private white institution is a college or university here in the States that's considered to be predominantly white, and that's not a public school, but that is, it's privatized, so it has its own rules and regulations, et cetera, et cetera. I went to Columbia University for graduate school, and I was in the Institute for Research in African American Studies. So I did have a unique experience in that case because I really wasn't in like the main part of the school and dealing with things in that space. However, I've spoken at a number of colleges, and I've definitely been to schools where like the ratio was 95 white folks to 5% people of color. So I've definitely seen, you know, a lot of things. But what I will say is this, community is key. Community is key. I think the frustrating thing about those situations is you just feel like, oh my gosh, now I'm here and I'm going to have to be like the teacher to everybody about Black culture. You feel like, oh my gosh, I'm by myself. And oh my God, wait, no. Wait. Before I get to that, sorry. I'm so sorry. Before I get to that, the last thing the last young woman said was, I just moved to NY and I don't have many friends. It's lonely. Life can be lonely, especially as you're figuring your shit out. And I used to literally like cry on holidays in New York because I wasn't getting invited to barbecues. And you'd have these people that have so much to say to you on Facebook and MySpace, et cetera, et cetera. But when it's time for them to hang with their friends and family, they don't call you. You know, and that's just a part of growing, and that's a part of life. And I suggest to you, though, that in terms of finding friends, it's about finding people that share your passion. I think that's the smartest thing to do, is find people that share your passion, find people that are in the same place as you. You know, like that's how nerds end up being friends, because you're like, no one else likes us, so we gonna like each other. You know what I mean? Like that's how that happens. And sometimes though, in that solitude and in that loneliness, that's where you find who you are. You almost like need to change the perspective to like, you know what? I'm not lonely. I'm clear. I'm not cluttered with other people right now. And I get a chance to kind of really get in touch with me and be real with me and be honest with me. And that's its own journey, let me tell you. And it's sometimes best to be able to have that with at least as little static as possible. So it can be a perspective thing. Like I know a lot of us, especially when we don't have a relationship going, a romantic relationship, you can feel like, you know, damn, I need that. And it's you don't need that. Like, interaction with other people is a real thing, and that is something that you do need. But when you can somehow find serenity and solitude in just being with you, you open yourself up to a whole other world of freedom. Let me tell you, because everything that you have to heal you is in you. It's all in you. The information, like the desire to find the information, the ability to trust yourself, like these are all things that are in us. You know, you just have to work on developing them. And so I say all that to say, though, that I understand what it is to be lonely, and I understand how difficult it can be to change that perspective. But there's also something to be said for like putting your energy to changing that perspective, and that is a positive way to use your energy. Okay, back to the institutions, the private white institutions. You know, it's about community, man. And finding community can be a very difficult thing. But in those situations, a lot of times it's easier because there's so few folks of color. So there's that. I also suggest, you know, making sure that if there are African American Studies classes, if there are like cultural classes, to take those classes. I mean, in general, overall, when it comes to education, I always tell people, curate your curriculum. Don't go to school for somebody else, because it's only you living this life. Curate your curriculum. And when you do that, you get the best out of your education. And you get the best out of life, because when you live in this life, they can take your money, your kids, your name, they can take your land. I say this all the time, but they can't take your education. That's the one thing that's yours. So I only have 1 minute and 39 seconds remaining, so I'm going to shut down. But I hope this was helpful to folks. I'll try to do this as often as possible. And I thank you guys for being such willing listeners, and for being so honest and real about your experiences, and for wanting to hear what I have to say. Remember, all I'm saying is suggestions. I'm not giving you all demands. I'm not giving you all bottom lines. I'm just telling you from my experience things that I think could help, and I hope that it did help. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all.